Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Weekly Roundup. In Weekly Roundup, we cover the most important news of the last week. My name is Anuj and I will be taking this session. In today's session, we will be covering 5 main news, 7 quick updates and 1 place in news. In main news, we will be covering about GSAT-7R, that is India's heaviest communication satellite. In second main news, we will be covering about the Thorium molten salt reactor. In third main news, we will be knowing about the CAR T cell therapy. In fourth main news, we will be learning about cooperatives, as Amul and IFFCO have emerged as the global top 2 cooperatives. In fifth main news, we will be knowing about vultures, as Pan-India Vulture Population Assessment report has been published by Wildlife Institution of India. In quick update, we will be learning about exercise Trishul, creative city of gastronomy, Women's Cricket World Cup, generational ban on tobacco, Umgot River, Gogabeel Lake, GPS spoofing, and in place in news, we will be knowing about Baltic Sea. So let's discuss the first news of today. So first news is that ISRO has launched India's heaviest communication satellite for Indian Navy from Sriharikota. Okay. So in this news, we will be covering about the GSAT-7R, okay, about geosynchronous orbit and geosynchronous transfer orbit, and also we will be learning about the launch vehicle. Okay. And it is covered in GS paper 3, which talks about the development and their application and effects in everyday life. Okay. So let us move to the discussion of the first news. Okay, so first of all, the context of the news. What is the context of the news? The context is that GSAT-7R was successfully launched aboard by the LVM-3, that is Launch Vehicle Mark III. Okay, so there are other satellites in GSAT-7 series as well, which are GSAT-7 for Navy, okay, GSAT-7A and 7C for Indian Air Force, and GSAT-7B for Indian Army. Okay. So B and C communication satellite are still in the development stage. Okay. So let us discuss about the key feature of GSAT-7R satellite. Okay. First of all, it is part of India's advanced defense communication satellite series GSAT-7. We have already discussed about the other communication satellite of this series. Okay. And in this news, we will be covering about the launch of this satellite. Okay. So it has been launched into the geosynchronous transfer orbit, and later it will be eventually settled into geostationary orbit. Okay. So before moving further, we will learn about what is geostationary orbit and what is geosynchronous transfer orbit. Okay. So here let us know about the geostationary orbit. It is a part of geosynchronous Earth orbit. Okay. Don't think that it is too technical. Such type of questions are very much common in prelims examination. So what is geosynchronous Earth orbit? So it is an orbit which is around 36,000 kilometers from the Earth. Okay. And a satellite in it moves at a speed of the rotation speed of Earth. So that's why it maintain a time which is similar to the rotation of Earth. Okay. And if a satellite is directly above the equator, that satellite will be called as in geostationary orbit. And why it is called as geostationary orbit? Suppose you have a very powerful telescope, okay, and there are two satellites. One is there in geosynchronous Earth orbit and another one is there in geostationary orbit. So if you are looking into the sky, you will notice that the satellite which is there in geosynchronous Earth orbit will be visible to you only once in a day, and that will be at the same time on regular basis. Means today it will be, suppose you are seeing that satellite at 11 a.m. Tomorrow also you will be seeing that satellite at 11 a.m. only. And if that satellite is there in geostationary orbit, and if you are seeing that satellite, it will be visible for you 24/7. Okay, so that is the basic difference between geosynchronous Earth orbit and geostationary orbit. And I will repeat again that geostationary orbit is part of, or is special kind of, geosynchronous Earth orbit. Okay, so this was about geosynchronous Earth orbit and geostationary orbit. So now the satellite has been launched into geotransfer orbit. So this is the geotransfer orbit, and when the satellite will reach at this height, it will transfer into geostationary orbit. Okay, so this was basic about these orbits. Okay, and its coverage is across the Indian Ocean region and the Indian landmass. Okay, that is the coverage of this satellite. And what is its purpose? It is for strengthening space-based communication, maritime domain awareness for Navy. Okay, so this is for Indian Navy. We have other satellite in GSAT-7 series which are for Indian Air Force as well as Indian Army. Okay, so this was about the GSAT-7R satellite. Now we will look into the significance of this satellite. Okay, first of all, it marks the India's growing self-reliance in defense sector. Okay, so you might have heard this word. We are moving forward towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, and especially in defense sector. And if you see, our export in defense sector is increasing on a drastic scale. Okay, so that is why it is part of an Atmanirbharta in defense sector. Second, it will enhance the Navy's strategic capability and blue water communication reach, especially in Indian Ocean. Okay. Third, it will help in precision warfare. And what does it mean? It means that navigation satellites are very essential for missile accuracy and precision strike. Okay, so these are the significance of this satellite. Now we will look into the launch vehicle. Okay, so it was launched by LVM-3. It is also known as GSLV-3. Okay, geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle. Okay, so that is the another name for that. And it is India's heaviest operational rocket for launching heavy communication satellite and deep space mission. Okay, it can launch up to 4 tons of satellite in geotransfer orbit. 4 tons to geotransfer orbit. And it can launch, I think, up to 8 tons to low Earth orbit. Okay, so please write in the comment section what is the range of low Earth orbit, or at what distance from the Earth low Earth orbit is there. Okay, though that you should write, and you should write in the comment section. Okay, now coming to its stages, it is a 3-stage vehicle. Okay, first stage, it is a solid stage, then liquid state, then cryogenic stage. Okay, what does it mean? That in first stage, this fuel will be solid. In second stage, the fuel will be liquid. And in third stage, the fuel will be cryogenic. Okay, when you will be seeing that launch vehicle in images, so you will be noticing 2 solid blocks around the launch vehicle. So those 2 blocks are strap-on boosters, and they provide the extra thrust needed to the satellite to lift it from the Earth. Okay, so at first stage there are strap-on booster, which you can see at the side. These looks like the solid blocks. Okay, in the second stage it has liquid propellant. In third stage it has cryogenic. Okay, so this was about the launch vehicle for this satellite. Now we will look into the PYQs related to this news. Okay, so first PYQ is from prelims 2018. Okay, I will read the question for you. With reference to the India's satellite launch vehicle, consider the following statement. Okay, first, PSLV launched the satellite useful for Earth resource monitoring, whereas GSLV are designated mainly to launch communication satellite. Okay, we have covered this in this news. Okay, second, satellite launched by PSLV appears to remain permanently fixed in the same position in the sky as viewed from the particular location on the Earth. We have discussed about it when we were discussing about geostationary and geosynchronous Earth orbit. Okay. Third, GSLV Mark III, the launch vehicle, is a 4-stage launch vehicle with the first and third stage using solid rocket motors and the second and fourth stage using liquid rocket engines. Okay. So we have covered all the 3 statements in the news. Please try to answer this PYQ in the comment section. The options are A 1 only, B 2 and 3, C 1 and 2, and D 3 only. So please write down the answer of this question in the comment section. Okay. So let's move to the mains PYQ. Okay. So the PYQ in 2016, it was there that discuss India's achievement in the field of space science and technology and how the application of this technology help India in socio-economic development. Okay. So this question is not directly from this news, but similar type of question can come in the mains examination, when the examiner can ask you about that how this technology will help India in maintaining the military dominance or in protecting the Indian Ocean. So such type of question can come in the main examination. So you can look into this mains PYQ. Okay. So this was all about for the first main news. So second main news is that China successfully achieved the first ever thorium to uranium fuel conversion. Okay. So in this news, we will be covering about thorium as a fuel. Thorium as a fuel. It is very important for India as well, because we will be also covering about India's 3-stage nuclear program as well. Nuclear power program. Okay. So that's why it become very important for us. And also it is there in GS paper 3, science and technology, which talks about development and their application and effect in everyday life. Okay. So let's move to the news. So what is the context here? Context is that the China's thorium molten salt reactor is currently the only operational molten salt reactor in the world. So the word only is very important. Okay. Other countries is also trying to develop their thorium molten salt reactor, especially USA. India is also trying to build their molten salt reactor. Okay. And China has used the technology or the application from the research from the American scientists. Okay. They have developed it further and reached at this stage where they are currently the only operational molten salt reactor in the world. Okay. Let us discuss about the thorium molten salt reactor. Okay. So you might see this image here. Okay. So here the salt will be kept. Okay, and this salt will be heated, and that will be reaching at a stage where it will be molten. Okay, and when it will be molten, it will be mixed with the fissile material. Okay, which is uranium 233, uranium 235, or plutonium 239. And point here to note is that directly thorium cannot be used as a fissile material. Okay, so this is sent into the reactor core, and that will heat the rod, and that heating will be sent into this cabin where water is kept, and that water will turn into steam, which will rotate the turbines, and turbine will rotate the generator. And what does generator do? Generator convert the mechanical energy into electrical energy. That is the basic function of generators. Okay, so this is very basic about the molten salt reactors. Okay, now let us discuss its key features. Okay, so it cool without water. Okay, it does not require water for cooling. It run at atmospheric pressure and deliver a high temperature output. That means the temperature which will be coming here will be higher when we compare it to the uranium. Okay, and it is more efficient. Then its advantages are that it is safer when compared to the other nuclear power machines. It has small high level nuclear waste. Okay, so nuclear waste is there, but it is comparatively lower when compared to the uranium. Okay, and it extract more energy as the high temperature output is higher. Okay, so this is the key features about thorium molten salt reactor. Okay, now we will move further and discuss about the thorium as fuel. Okay, so as I have already told you that thorium cannot be directly used as a fuel. It has to be converted into uranium 233. Okay, in a reactor before it can be used as a fuel. That is the basic about thorium and how it can be converted into uranium 233. Okay, one neutron is sent into it and it converts into thorium 233. That decay in 1 month of time and reach to uranium 233. Okay, that is the basic conversion of thorium to uranium, and it is known as transmutation. It is known as transmutation. Okay, it is 3 times more abundant in nature when compared to uranium. Okay, that the third stage of India's nuclear power program envisions large scale power production from thorium. Okay, so in third stage it will be used as a fuel. So before moving to the third stage, let us understand about the first stage and the second stage of the India's nuclear power program. Okay, in first stage, this is very important for your prelims as well as for your mains. In the first stage, the pressurized heavy water reactors are used. In second stage, the fast breeder reactors are used. In the third stage, the advanced heavy water reactors are used. Okay, so these are the reactors which are used in the first, second and the third stage. Okay, so in first stage, natural uranium is provided as the fuel, and natural uranium is U238. Okay, so it contains around 99.3% of uranium 238 and 0.7% of uranium 235. So U38 after this stage is converted into plutonium 239. Okay, this plutonium 239 is used as a fuel in the second stage. Okay, so all the nuclear power reactors in India are at the first stage only, at the present state. Okay, so here the fuel will be mixed by then U38 and U39 will undergo fission and it will produce more energy and more plutonium 239, because this U238 will be converted into plutonium 239. That's why it is called as fast breeder reactor. That means it will give more plutonium what it will be consuming. Okay, so at later when plutonium 239 is in sufficient amount, we will also give the thorium 232. Okay, in the third stage, the thorium is mixed with the uranium okay, and this thorium will be converted into U33, as we have already talked how it converts into U33, okay, and which will power the reactor. Okay, so this is the third stage nuclear power program of India, okay, where the thorium will be used. Okay, so this was about the nuclear power program of India, and it is very important for your prelims as well as for your mains. Now let us discuss about the thorium reserve in India. Okay, so 25% of global thorium is in India. It's an important fact. Around 25% of global thorium reserves are there in India. Okay, that's why India has the world largest reserve of thorium. Okay, second, Kerala and Odisha have rich reserves of monazite, which contain approximately 8 to 10% of thorium. Read this statement very carefully. When we will be solving PYQ, this statement become very important. Okay, so what does this statement says? That Kerala and Odisha have rich reserves of monazite, which contain approximately 8 to 10% of thorium. Okay, it is also found in other states like Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Jharkhand. Okay, so this was basic about the thorium reserve in India. Okay, let us solve the PYQ related to this news. Okay, so there are two PYQs. One is from 2022 and another one from 2023. Okay, I will discuss this PYQ and also the rationale behind them. Okay. So first PYQ, with reference to India, consider the following statement. Okay, monazite is a source of rare earth. Okay, monazite contains thorium. Third statement, monazite occurs naturally in the entire Indian coast sand in India. Okay, it was there only in Kerala and Odisha. Okay. Fourth, in India, government bodies can only process or export monazite. Okay. When you will see the option, A is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 4, B, C, 3 and 4, D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. If you see this statement, this is incorrect. Okay. And if you eliminate this, the only correct option will be B, 1, 2 and 4. Okay. So sometimes answer can be through the elimination method as well. Okay. The second PYQ, it's from 2023. The first statement is that India, despite having uranium deposit, depends on coal for most of its electricity production. This is the first statement. Okay. Second, uranium enriched to the extent of at least 60% is required for the production of electricity. Okay, so when we were discussing about India's nuclear power program, so we have discussed that only 0.7% of uranium 235 was there. Okay, so it was there in news at that time because Iran was enriching its uranium to 60%, which is required for nuclear bombs. Okay, that's why this question has been asked. Okay, so this statement become wrong. Okay, and first statement is correct. Then the answer will be C, that statement 1 is correct, but the statement 2 is incorrect. Okay, that's why current affairs become very important for your prelims as well as for your mains examination. So the third news for today is that India has unveiled its first indigenous CAR T cell therapy. In this news, we will be covering about CAR T cell therapy in detail. Okay, and it is related to GS paper 3, which talks about achievements of Indians in science and technology, and also about the biotechnology. Okay, biotechnology is very important for your mains examination. In this year exam also, there was a question related to biotechnology where it was asked that how biotechnology can be used to achieve the energy security in India. Okay, so let us move to the main discussion of this news. So what is the context? The context here is that the NextCAR19 therapy was developed for B cell blood cancer by ImmunoAct. So that is the name of the therapy. What is the name? NextCAR19. Okay, and it was incubated by a company which is under IIT Bombay and the Tata Memorial Hospital. Okay, and this therapy was granted market authorization by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization in 2023. Okay, Central Drug Standard Control Organization is a regulatory body, central regulatory body, which regulate pharmaceuticals in India. Okay, it is important for your prelims, cosmetic and medical devices. Okay, it regulates these three. Okay, let us move to the CAR T cell therapy. The full form of CAR is chimeric antigen receptor. Okay, and what does it do? It modifies immune cells, specifically T cell, by turning them into potent cancer fighters known as CAR T cell. Before moving further, let us understand about T cells. Okay, T cells are part of white blood cells. Okay, there are two types of T cell. One is helper T cell and another one is killer T cell. Okay, so helper T cell act like police. It will be going around in your body and it will detect is there any pathogen which is entering into the human body, and it will tell the killer T cells, okay, that there is an foreign particle in the body, and that killer T cell will go and kill the foreign particle. Okay, so that is the basic about the T cells. These are part of the white blood cell. These are of two types. Okay, helper T cell and killer T cell. And this year Nobel Prize in Medicine was also given related to this. Okay, so what does it do? CAR T cell, it modify them so that they can fight the cancer. So when cancer develops in human body, it resists the T cells. That's why they cannot attack the cancer cells. Okay, so in this process, CAR T cell therapy, the blood is drawn from the patient. Okay, blood is drawn and it separates the white blood cell. In white blood cell also it separates the T cell. Okay, and those T cell will be genetically engineered in the laboratory so that they can attack the cancer cell. Okay, they will go and attack the cancer cell in the human body. Okay, are multiplied in lab and infused. They are multiplied and infused into the human body as required by the human body. So that is the basic of the CAR T working. Okay, so first of all, blood is drawn, T cell is separated, that is genetically engineered, then it is sent back into the human body, it is multiplied and infused into the human body as per the requirement, and then they will attack the cancer cells. Okay, so that is the basic. Okay, so this treatment is designed for the specific type of blood cancers, and it is given to the patients whose cancers has either relapsed, okay, it's came back, or not responded to the first line treatments. Okay, so this was about the CAR T cell therapy. Now let us look into the significance of it and benefits. Okay, so what are the benefits of CAR T cell therapy? First, it is a short treatment duration. Okay, whereas you will see that chemotherapy or the stem cell transplant take a lot of time, the CAR T cell therapy takes very short time. Okay, it has sustained benefit. Okay, those T cells which are modified will be there in the body and they will protect the body from the other cancers which can develop at the further stage. Okay, that is the second benefit. Third, their accessibility is more, and now as they are produced and unveiled in India, their cost will further come down, and it will leads to the sustainability and the accessibility of treatment of the cancers. Okay, the fourth, let us discuss about the challenges with this therapy. Okay, first, this therapy is only for the one cancer and won't be applicable to the another type of the cancer. Okay, so it is very specific to one type of cancer. Second, it can overactivate the immune cell, which can lead to autoimmune diseases. What are autoimmune disease? When our own immune system start attacking our cells. Okay, that are autoimmune disease. Okay, so this was about the third news. Let us discuss the PYQ related to this news. Okay, so this is a question, prelims question from 2022. Okay, so question is, which one of the following statement best describe the role of B cells and T cells in the human body? Okay, so this is a basic question in your prelims. If you know about the T cells and B cell, you will directly mark the correct answer. The answer for it is D. They protect the body from the diseases caused by pathogens. Okay. And PYQ from mains is from 2018. The question is, why there is so much activity in the field of biotechnology in our country? How has this activity benefited the field of biopharma? Okay, so this type of question can come in the mains examinations related to biotechnology. Okay. The fourth news for today is that the Amul and IFFCO has ranked the world top 2 cooperatives. Okay, so in this news we will be covering about the cooperatives in India. Okay, it is very important and it is mentioned in GS paper 2 as well as in GS paper 3. Okay, so let's move to the discussion. So what is the context of the news? Context is that the World Cooperative Monitor 2025, which is released by International Cooperative Alliance, has said that the Amul and IFFCO are the world top 2 cooperatives. Okay, and Amul stand for Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation Limited, whereas the IFFCO stand for Indian Farmers Fertilizers Cooperative Limited. Okay, so let us move to the cooperatives in India. First of all, let us understand what is cooperative. Okay, let us understand in a very simple language. It is a financial organization where people come together with capital to form a objective, and objective can be economy, social as well as culture. Okay, so that is the basic definition of cooperative. So it is an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their common economic, social and cultural need through a jointly owned and democratically member controlled enterprises. And why they come together? Okay, they come together because the power with the when people come together is more when compared to a individual person to bargain or to sell things. Okay, and cooperative are the mixture of two. One is capitalism, another one is socialism. So they have feature of both capitalism as well as socialism. Okay, so now let us discuss the 7 principles of cooperatives. Okay, so these are very important when you are writing your mains answer. Okay, so these are that they are democratic member control, they have autonomy as well as independence, they are education, training and information program in them, there are cooperation among various cooperatives, there are concerns for community as well as there is partnership of economic in them, and there is voluntary and open membership. So these are the 7 principles of cooperative. Okay, so their genesis can be traced back to Cooperative Credit Society Act of 1904. Okay, so this act was only for the agricultural credit society. That's why it was amended in 1912. Later, other types of cooperative were also inculcated in the act. Okay, so this is about basic about cooperatives in India. Okay, so cooperative societies is a state subject under the 7th schedule. Okay, whereas the interstate cooperatives are there in union list. Okay, And the 97th Amendment Act of 2011 is very important with respect to cooperative societies. Okay, it granted citizens the fundamental right to form cooperative societies under Article 19(1)(c). Okay, and it has inserted one DPSP which is 43B. Okay, and it also inserted a part in the constitution which is 9th B. Okay, so the part 9th is related to panchayats, 9th A is related to municipalities, and 9th B is related to cooperatives. Okay, so this amendment was challenged in Supreme Court. Okay, so through Rajendra N. Shah case, Supreme Court has delivered its judgment. Okay, and what was the issue? Okay, so the issue was about the Amendment Act. Okay, so the cooperative societies fall under the state subject. Okay, so when there is an amendment in the constitution, so the requirement is that it does not only pass through the parliament but also should be approved by the 50% of the state governments, that is by simple majority in the state assembly. Okay, so that was not done in the 97th Amendment Act. So the partial 97th Amendment Act was cancelled by the Supreme Court, wherever it was talking about the cooperative societies of state. Okay, so this was about the Supreme Court judgment of in 2021. Let us move to the legal framework. Okay, as we have already discussed, cooperative societies which are functioning in more than one states are governed by the Multi-State Cooperative Society Act of 2002, which was amended in 2023. Okay, and these single state cooperatives are governed by the respective state or the UT Act. Okay, and India has more than 1/4 of the world's cooperative. Okay, so it is a very prominent number that India has more than 1/4 of the world cooperatives. Okay, so this was about the cooperatives. Let us move to the key initiatives which are there for strengthening cooperatives in India. First of all, we have established National Cooperative Development Corporation (NCDC) in 1963. We also have NABARD, which stands for National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, which was established in 1982. Okay, it provides refinancing for the cooperative banks. Okay. Third, we have also established a ministry known as Ministry of Cooperation in 2021. Okay, and recently we have bought a policy, that is National Cooperation Policy, in 2025. So these are the initiatives to strengthen cooperatives in India. Okay, let us look into the PYQ related to this news. Okay, so first PYQ is from prelims of 2011. Okay, so the question is, in India, which of the following have the highest share in the disbursement of credit to agriculture and allied activities? Okay, so these are the four options: 1, commercial bank; B, cooperatives bank; C, regional rural bank; D, microfinance institution. Okay, so Google this question and find out the answer for it. It is a very easy question. Okay, and the mains PYQ is from 2014. Okay, in the villages itself, no form of credit organization will be suitable except the cooperative societies. Okay, so this is the question about the cooperative societies and their role as a credit provider in the rural setup. Okay, so here you will be writing about the cooperative societies and how they can enhance or how they are enhancing the credit in the rural setup. Okay, so this was the question from 2014. So the fifth news is related to vultures. Wildlife Institution of India has released its first pan-India assessment and monitoring of endangered species vultures. Okay, so in this news we will be covering about the key highlights of this report and the vultures. Okay, we will be covering about the vultures as well, and it is related to GS paper 3, where syllabus talks about conservation, environmental pollution and degradation. Okay, so let us move to the discussion of the news. Okay, so the context here, as we have already discussed, that the first national-wide assessment which have estimated the breeding adults only. So this is very important, that the estimation is only for the breeding adult population. Okay, which has focused on 4 critically endangered species of vulture. Okay, so there are 9 species of vulture in India. In those, only 4 critically endangered species were focused. And what are those 4 critically endangered species? Those are white-ramped vultures, Indian vultures, slender-billed vultures, and red-headed vultures. Okay, so these are the 4 critically endangered vulture species in India. Okay, so let us discuss about the vultures. Okay, so vultures are very important for us culturally as well. If you read Ramayana, okay, so there was Jatayu as well, legendary vulture which has died protecting Mata Sita. Okay, so you might have read about the Jatayu in Ramayana. Okay, and they are large carrion-eating birds, mainly found in tropics and subtropics. Okay, so they are mainly found in tropic and subtropic region. Okay, next, their significance. Okay, so they clean environment by consuming the carcasses. Okay, so they feed on the dead bodies. Okay, second, they control wildlife diseases by eating the dead bodies. Okay, and they vomit the acid to protect themselves. Such types of characteristics are important for UPSC examination, as UPSC is focusing more on the characteristics of the animals. Okay, third, their conservation status. Okay, so they are protected under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Okay, and what are threats to them? First is habitat loss, food scarcity, and the diclofenac poisoning. Okay, so diclofenac was a medicine which was given to animal. Okay, and when they used to die and they were eaten by the vultures, so that used to lead to the kidney failures in the vulture, and it has led to the killing of many vultures, especially these 4 critically endangered species. Okay, now this is banned in India after 2007. Okay, so let us look into the types of vulture in India. As we have already discussed, there are 9 types of vulture in India. Okay, let us discuss first the red list of IUCN. Okay, first it is extinct, and second is extinct in wild, third critically endangered, then endangered, then vulnerables, okay, then near threatened and least concern. Okay, so this is the classification of red list of IUCN. After this, we can see the species of vulture in India. First, the white-rumped vulture, slender-billed vulture, Indian vulture, and red-headed vultures. They are critically endangered. Okay, Egyptian vulture, it is endangered. Okay, and bearded vulture, cinereous vulture, and Himalayan griffon vulture are near threatened. Okay, and griffon vulture is least concern. So this is the basic about the species of vultures in India. Okay, so whenever you are reading vultures in India, please look into the red list of IUCN. So this report has specifically focused on the critically endangered species in vulture. And what are those 4 critically endangered species of vulture? I am repeating it many times because this is very important. Okay, so first, white-rumped vulture, slender-billed vulture, Indian vulture, and red-headed vultures. Okay, now let us look into the findings of the report. First, the geographical scope. The survey has documented vulture presence at the 216 sites across 19 states. Second, contraction of range. Okay, so the report has revealed that absence of nesting in nearly 70% of historical site. Okay, so this is the second major finding. And third major finding is that the dependence of their population, the vulture population, is more in protected areas. Okay, protected areas are national park, wildlife sanctuaries. In protected areas, vultures, about 54% of vultures are present. Okay, so that shows the importance of protected areas in India. Okay, the species specific findings are that Indian vultures are mainly found in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Okay, white-ruffed vulture are concentrated in Kangra Valley, which is there in Himachal Pradesh. Hey, slender-billed vultures are present in Upper Assam, and red-headed vultures are found in Madhya Pradesh. So these are the species-specific finding which was presented in the recent report. Okay, so this was about the news related to vulture. Let's look into the PYQ. Okay, it was there in 2012. Please read this question carefully. It is very easy, and we have already discussed this in the news. Okay, and try to answer. The question is, vultures which used to be very common in Indian countryside some year ago are rarely seen nowadays. So this is attributed to, the first option is the destruction of their nesting sites by new invasive species. Second, a drug used by cattle owner for treating their diseased cattle. Okay. Third, the scarcity of food available to them. Fourth, a widespread, persistent and fatal disease among them. Okay, so we have already discussed about diclofenac, and you can answer this question and write the answer in the comment section. Okay. So place in news for today is Baltic Sea. Okay, and it is there in news because Poland has intercepted the Russian plane over the Baltic Sea. So Baltic Sea is there in news because of the Russian-Ukraine war. Okay, so we will understand the key features of the Baltic Sea. Okay, so it is located in the northern hemisphere. Okay, and the surrounding countries are given here. Some of them are Sweden, Finland, Russia, Lithuania, Poland, Germany. So these are some countries which are bordering the Baltic Sea. Okay, the other important feature for Baltic Sea is that it is the youngest sea on our planet. Okay, so such types of extreme statement become very important for your prelims examination, that it is the youngest sea on the planet. Okay. Third, there is a canal which is Kyle Canal which connects it to the North Sea. It is present somewhere here. Okay, so it passes from Germany and it connects the Baltic Sea to the North Sea. Okay, and the salinity of Baltic Sea is lower when compared to the seas on the same latitude. Okay, and what is the reason for the lower salinity? That is the influx of fresh water from the neighboring countries. That's why the salinity of Baltic Sea is lower when compared to the other sea in the same latitude. Okay, okay. There are other gulfs as well in the Baltic Sea, which are Gulf of Bothnia, Gulf of Finland, Gulf of Riga. So these are some important gulf in Baltic Sea. Okay, so this was about the place in news for today. Now let us move to the quick updates for today. Okay, so the first quick update is about exercise Trishul. And what is the context? The context is that India has launched exercise Trishul, a major tri-service drill along the western border in the state of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Okay, so it was launched there, and even the BSF and Indian Coast Guard are participating in them as ancillary forces. Okay, so let us understand about this exercise. So its objective is to comprehend the joint operational capabilities and strategic preparedness of the Indian Army, Navy and the Air Force. Okay, so how they can work together and fight together with the threats. Okay, that is the main objective of the exercise Trishul. Okay, and it will serve as a platform to demonstrate how indigenous defense system, okay, are being integrated into India's operational frameworks. Okay, how what we are developing for protecting our country can be integrated and can protect our country. It is going there in western border, specifically in Gujarat and Rajasthan, and it will be completed by tomorrow. Okay, so this was about the first quick update. So the second quick update is about the creative city of gastronomy. Okay, and the context is that the 43rd session of UNESCO's General Conference has named Lucknow as the creative city of gastronomy as the part of UNESCO's creative list. Okay, so gastronomy basically means the food. Okay, and before that, this Hyderabad was also there in the creative list under the same category. Okay, you might have heard about Hyderabadi biryani, and you might have also heard about the galoti kebab of Lucknow. Okay, there is a interesting story behind the galoti kebab. Okay, so the king was not having teeth, so he has asked their chef to make kebab which can be eaten without teeth. Okay, so they have made the galoti kebab. That is the story behind the galoti kebab. There are other cities under the UNESCO's Creative Cities Network, which are Gwalior for music, Jaipur for crafts and folk art, Chennai for music, Kozhikode for literature. There are other cities as well, such as Mumbai, okay, Srinagar. Okay, so these are the some cities which are there in this list. Okay, let us understand about the Creative Cities Network. Okay, so it was originated in 2004 to strengthen the cooperation with and among the cities that have recognized creativity as a strategic factor for sustainable development. Okay, so suppose now Lucknow is designated as cities of gastronomy. Okay, so their tourism will increase and it will lead to sustainable development. Okay, there are 7 creative fields under it. Those are crafts and folk, art, design, film, gastronomy, literature, music and media arts. Okay, so this was the second quick update. Now moving to the third quick update, that is ICC Women Cricket World Cup. Okay, so there was a question about Kabaddi in the last year prelims. So here you can also expect a question regarding the Cricket Women World Cup. Okay, there was a question regarding Kabaddi last year. Okay, so the context here is that the Indian women cricket team has clinched their first ever ODI World Cup title after defeating the South Africa in the final. Okay, so it is very important for development of women cricket in India. Okay, so let us understand about the ICC Women Cricket World Cup. Okay, so the first edition was in 1973 in England and winner was England only. Okay, so 2025 World Cup was hosted by India and final was there in Mumbai. Okay, and which is the most successful team? That is Australia. It has won the World Cup 7 times. Okay, and before that India has reached the finals, okay, in 2005 and 2017. Okay, so this was about the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup. So next quick update is about generational ban on tobacco, and the context here is that the Maldives has become the first country to impose generational ban on tobacco. Okay, so now let us understand what is the meaning of generational ban on tobacco. Okay, suppose there is a person who have born on a specified date. Okay, so for them they cannot buy tobacco or tobacco related product throughout their life. Okay, that is the meaning of generational ban of tobacco. Okay, so it means that it refers to a policy that permanently prohibits the sale of cigarettes or other tobacco products to anyone born after a specified date. Okay, that's why it's called as generational ban. Okay, other measures which are used for tobacco control are monitoring use, warning about harms that are provided on the cigarette packets, banning advertisement, raising taxes and regulating new nicotine products like e-vapes. Okay, so electronic cigarettes are banned in India, and around 80% of people who are using tobacco products are living in low and middle income countries. Okay, that's a fact about the usage of tobacco. Okay, now moving to the next news. Next news is about Umgot River. Okay, so whenever you heard about Meghalaya, you might have seen this image, a very beautiful river which is very clean. You can see the surface of the river. Okay, so that river was Umgot River. And what is the context here? The context is that this river of Meghalaya, also known as Dwaki River, known for its greenish blue crystal clear water, which is visible in the image, is turning murky. That means that it is getting dirty. Okay, and let us understand about this river. It originates from the eastern part of Silong Peak. Okay, and it flows southwards toward Dwaki, a small town in East Jaintia Hills, district of Meghalaya. Okay, and it forms the natural boundary between Jaintia Hill and Khasi Hill. Okay, so there are 3 hills in Meghalaya: Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia. Okay, so this river form a natural boundary between Khasi and Jaintia. Okay, so this was about the Umgot River. Now moving to the next news, that is Gogabil Lake. Okay, and what is the context? The context is that the Bihar Gogabil Lake has been designated a Ramsar site, and it has emerged the 94th wetland of international importance in India. So presently there are 94 wetland of international importance in India. Okay, now understanding about Gogabil Lake. So it is an oxbow wetland situated in Katihar district of Bihar. Okay, so you might know that river flow like this. Okay, and when they mature, their flow get low. So at the here, at the inside there will be erosion, at the outside there will be deposition, and this will be get separated from the river, and it is known as the oxbow lake. So Gogabil Lake is a oxbow lake, and it is oxbow lake formed from the flow of the river Mahananda and Kankar in the north and Ganga in south and east. Okay, this is very important. Okay, and what is its significance? Significance is that it is the first community reserve in India. Okay, so this was about the 94th wetland of international importance in India. Moving to the last news for today, that is GPS spoofing. The context of GPS spoofing is that airlines has reported a surge in GPS spoofing over Delhi, triggering government investigation into unusual navigation disruption. Okay, so GPS spoofing was very common at the borders, especially at the border of Pakistan and the border of Myanmar. Okay, but it was not so common in the central part of India. Okay, in Delhi. Now it is reported that GPS spoofing is happening over Delhi. Let us understand about the GPS spoofing. Okay, it is a type of cyber attack that transmit false GPS signals to mislead navigation system. Okay, you might know that the airplanes are totally dependent on the GPS system and the ATC, with the data provided by the ATC. Suppose there is a cyber attack on GPS, it can lead to the accident of aeroplanes. Okay, so it is happening near Delhi. And how it functions? It exploits the weak signals of GPS satellite by overpowering them with fake signals. Okay, making receiver show false location, and it is very threatening to the mobility of aeroplanes. Okay, and it can disrupt the aviation sector, logistic, telecom, energy, and the defense sector. Okay, so this was about the today's weekly roundup session. To read more about our current affairs initiative, you can visit Digital Current Affairs, and you can solve the smart quizzes there as well. So thank you for listening to this, and all the best for your preparation. Thank you.